Okay, this is my submission video for MGS2 Substance on PC. I'm Joseph Joestar316, and I'll be running this on EuroExtreme New Game Plus. It'll be the tanker plant full run. The timer will start on the not game over if discovered condition, and it'll end on the Solidus last hit later in the game, which is going to start right now. So as we get underway, we are going to be starting on the tanker. Well, we will be starting as Snake. The tanker scenario is more or less an introductory to the game, with some interesting obstacles and hurdles along the way. But for now, we're just going to be going off and to the left, since the only way into the tanker is accessible through this hatch, just past this corner.
Freeze.
And we're going to be making our way all the way up to Deck E, towards the navigation deck. So with this guard, because it's on EuroExtreme, they see from really far away, and the damage that you receive is, you know, very, very significant. You know, it takes 1/3 of your health per shot. But the thing about the M9 itself is, although you're not aiming at the head for, you know, the instant knockout, getting 2 shots with it is just as good. It also allows you to set up holdups. And for every time a guard gets hit by a tranq dart, they kind of, you know, they wait for a little bit, which gives you that opportunity to kind of sneak up to them and hold them up. So as we're making our way up to Deck E, we're going through the crew's quarters. We're going to do this distraction shot right there. Our guard will hear the ricochet and then not see me as I run through. So we're finally up to Deck E, and the first obstacle of the run, which is going to be the first boss fight, which is Olga. Olga is definitely an interesting fight. She can spawn in 2 different ways, where she goes left or right. In this case, I got left, where I will attempt the Olga loop, where I will start off with a shot there, followed by a second headshot. And because she's getting up, recovering from the headshot, I'm preventing her from going into her dialogue, which is what we call the Olga loop. It is only possible to do this when she goes left. It is not possible when she goes right. However, you still can get a fairly quick fight. But ideally, this is the Olga fight that you want. And that, I gotta say, is really good Olga fight. Sub 2 minutes. So, now that we've beaten Olga, we acquired the USP handgun, which, thanks to Olga, she spent all the ammo in it, so we're gonna have to pick up this ammo box, which is conveniently placed there.
Who's that? Enemy sight.
Okay, that actually startled me for a second. So, we're gonna shoot the ceiling to distract that guard, allowing me to run underneath that camera's blind spot. And if the timing is right, you can get out of there without the alert kicking in. Same thing here. You shoot the wall to distract that guard, bump into him to prevent his radio call from getting out right away. And then here, this guard's gonna see me, try to shoot at me. The plexiglass will block the shot, so I'll not be hurt. While at the same time, I will try to either shoot his radio or just tranq him in the head. Either one is acceptable. Again, it's just to prevent the alert to carry over. So, this engine room, we're gonna drop down a level, and then tranq and roll into this guard, which, like the double tranq, it can knock them out, but with the tranq and roll, it will do it instantaneously. It works throughout the game.
What's that?
You know, conveniently. So, this guy will notice me.
I got the.
You know, but because he did, I will just disable his radio, and because of that, I will skip this cutscene I would normally get, pending there's no, like, detection or caution. It just saves you a little bit of a skip. So we shoot the 3 sensors that are hooked up to the Semtex with laser tripwires. And just like that, out of the engine room and into the decks.
All non-essential personnel report to the holds in 10 minutes' time for the scheduled briefing session with the Commandant. You are ordered to continue manning your posts until that time.
Alright, so what I'm going to try to do is a 1-2
Freeze.
M9 shot hold up. And what that's going to do is leave the guard there while the first trank is taking effect. And at the same time, I will not have to roll into them because Snake's rolls, while convenient when going upstairs where there's an opening, you actually lose time for every roll that you do where it's not beneficial. However, in this case, we will roll into this loading zone to the next encounter we call the guard rush. So we got 8 guards to take out. So we're going to start by shooting that one with the USP to kind of, you know, stop them in place. Try to get a quick headshot while trying to take out the others as they come in. So we stay behind this first container, which is a convenient, you know, position of cover. Then we're going to trank the 8th guard there, followed by 3 more, which we're going to use the USP for 1, 2, 3. So you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, didn't you just kill those 3 guards? Well, if you actually use the USP on the last 3 guards that charge in, it'll actually despawn them faster before the encounter actually registers their kills, so you actually got away with murder. So, now what we're doing is what we call the ladder skip glitch, where we climb onto this ladder while having the camera equipped, which is not normally a thing you're supposed to do, but because we have it, along with the USP equipped, it basically gets us somewhat out of bounds, and through a precise series of inputs, it puts us back in bounds by grabbing onto the second ladder. It saves you about 10 to 12 seconds versus climbing down both ladders or dropping down a level and then climbing the lower ladder. So we swap projector screens to make the Marines turn the other way, allowing us to hug the left wall to hold up 2 of the 3 guards, followed by a 3rd guard. If quick enough, you can prevent them from turning. Alright, next we're taking these 4 pictures that we need of Metal Gear Ray. And trust me when I say that we got the Marines logo. It may not look like it, but I'm pretty sure we got it. And, you know, our good buddy Otacon is gonna verify our pictures for us. So you might be wondering, well, wait a minute, that looks nothing like the Marines logo that I'm used to seeing.
We the Marines.
Which, due to the fact that, you know, we're on a widescreen format, running this on PC, and it also works on HD collection since, again, it supports widescreen formats. The camera hitbox detection when it comes to the Marines logo can be done in 2 different places. It allows you to get away with getting the logo quickly without actually going to the right side of the hole 3 where the logo would be visible. So that concludes the tanker, and we're now making our way into the plant. Starring Raiden, which, like the tanker, it's gonna be, you know, nothing too crazy happening. We will just kind of make our way through the docks. It's more or less like tutorials. You know, it's teaching you how to log into this this node. However, since we're running this without radar, we will not be actually logging into nodes to enable the radar for every strut that we go to. This one is just a requirement to continue the run. But so far, just nothing too unusual. But for now, since we're waiting for this elevator to come back, we have 3 guards in the room that are going to start waking up. And we're going to go back to this lower right corner first, where once he gets up, we're going to grab him ever so carefully, then punch him in the groin, which is an instant knockout. And, you know, as cruel as that could be, it is convenient to use that. So while that guard notices me and the guard in the corner, I'm going to knock on the wall to distract the 3rd guard from seeing me go into this elevator, which is now just arrived to take me back up. I still feel bad for that guy every time I groin punch him. It's not something that's, I don't know, something you would be happy about, but, you know, because I have no weapons, that's part of the challenge with running this on this difficulty is, you know, like the tanker, the guards see just as far away. You take the same amount of damage where it chops off a third. But the bigger challenge is, you know, unlike Snake, who started with the M9, Raiden starts with nothing but what he's wearing, which will eventually get weapons. And for now, we're just racing to strut C, which is going to begin what we call the bomb defusal phase, since there's different portions of the plant that we'll go through. So the first thing is we're going to cartwheel into that guard, which is just going to buy me enough time to get out of sight and then just run into strut B, where we're going to meet up with a character that sort of looks like Snake, sounds like Snake, walks like Snake, but he's Iroquois Pliskin. You know, which I'll take his word for it. So we finally have a weapon which Pliskin provided to us, which is the SOCOM pistol. Very similar to the USP. The ammo capacity is a little bit less, but it does get the job done. And like the USP, we'll only be using it for certain things since we are trying to not kill anybody. For the plant, it's mostly for taking out ciphers, cameras, and provide misdirection, you know, for guards. So we finally arrived in Strut C, where we're going to meet up with Peter Stillman, who is the bomb defusal expert that was called in to help disarm bombs that have been located throughout the plant facility. And Pliskin will help us with this task by disarming bombs in the Shell 2 section, while we will be defusing bombs in the Shell 1 section. So after we get out of this, we are now on our way, and one of the other benefits to running this on New Game Plus is you will not have to go through the Stillman cutscenes, as we call it, where Stillman kind of teaches you how to identify the bombs, disarm them, and use the sensors, yada yada. It's about 2.5 minutes of, I don't know, tutorials, and for New Game Plus, we already know what to do, and you could skip it. Alright, so next, we're going back to Strut C, so we're going clockwise. Just due to the situation at hand with what we have for weapons. So we just closed that locker door. We can defuse the first bomb ever so quickly. And then make our way back to Strut A. And the amount of bombs in here are different from one strut to the next, just due to the fact that we're on EuroExtreme.
Who's that?
What's going on? Respond.
Enemies.
Very descriptive. It's like, what's going on over there? Enemies. Yeah, it made sense to me. Now, I just find it amazing. He doesn't even notice that, you know, his comrade just went into the ocean.
Freeze.
So, like the guard in the dock, we're going to use the SOCOM now to hold him up and do the groin punch. We will not have to do that grabbing method. That's only just due to the fact that we had nothing to start with. So, we're going to pick up this chaff grenade on the rooftop. And then we'll pick up a second one on the BC connecting bridge later. This is the second bomb of Strut A, the first one being on the rooftop. So, like the other guy, we're just gonna hold him up, not punch him. And then what you see me do here is what we call the coolant rise, where you equip and unequip the coolant while also pressing your standing crouch button, which in this case is X for me. And what this does is it kind of skips over the ascending animation from when you're prone to standing. It does save you a little bit of time each time you do it. And at the same time, you may have noticed I disarmed the bomb from the other side of that pipe where I was standing. It's a very specific spot you gotta be in. It does give you a small window opportunity to actually disarm it.
Possible hostile.
So we're gonna shoot that cipher while shooting that guard's radio so his alert will not carry over into this room, because alerts that happen on this difficulty will carry over into the next area. So we want to avoid them as much as possible. So that guy seeing me is intended to get two of these guards to go upstairs so I can be free and clear to disarm that bomb in Strut F. Okay, and then we're going to pick up these stun grenades, which again is for later in the run. So now with the second chaff in hand, we're going to use it right away. And then after we answer this codec, we're going to do a carefully timed cartwheel laying down. We're just going to pick up a claymore while using the same coolant rise method to quickly get upright. So now this is the parcel room. Now the interesting thing about this room with the bomb is it's on a box via the conveyor belt system that you see. So we're essentially waiting for the bomb to show itself. And in the meantime, say hello to Mo. Yeah, we love him. So we're just taking care of the cameras in the room with the SOCOM. You can't get away with firing the weapon just due to how loud the room is, but you do have to be careful who's around when you do it. So right here is the bomb, which you can't see, but it's on the other side of that container. The interesting thing about the coolant is depending on the object that you're trying to defuse it against, the coolant spray can actually go through the box and still touch the bomb. Sort of like what I did in Strut F, where I'm spraying between the gap or in the pump room. But ideally, that's where you defuse the bomb. Otherwise, you'll have to wait for it to show up in another conveyor belt. So this is now the bomb on the helipad, right underneath this Harrier. So we're going to cool it rise once again.
Who's there?
You know, which the timing is critical just due to the guard patrol pattern up here and, you know, their long vision that they have. Okay, and that clears Strutty. And guess who's checking in again? Yep, it's Rose.
Whatever.
Yeah, we don't want to talk to her. So now you may notice I equipped the box.
Who's there?
And as you just noticed, when I used the box, the guard just kind of doesn't really know what to do. He doesn't try to shoot me,
Who's there?
as long as you time it right. And we use this box quite a bit due to the fact that we're on Not Game Over if Discovered. It allows us to manipulate the guards so we don't have to deal with them from, you know, long range. And you can also set up a situation where you could disable their radio. But for now, we're in Strut D, where we're going to take out 2 of the guards right away, as soon as we load in, followed by this 3rd guard here. Go into hanging mode for this guy to see me. Grab the ledge below. Quickly get up and knock him over. And then as I open up this hatch, it plays a little cutscene when you first see it, which gives me iframes if the guard tries to shoot me. So because we're on New Game Plus, instead of the bombs being spread out, it puts 2 of them closer together, but it still tallies 3 bombs in Strut D. On New Game Plus, it puts it back to its original bomb pattern, while still getting the same benefits of, you know, being able to skip Stillman cutscenes, and what will happen later when we get to Shell 1. So the whole idea with this room setup is to quickly defuse the bombs before the SWAT team arrives. You know, since the radio broadcast, while it's interrupted, it will not stop the SWAT team from showing up eventually. So again, we're just gonna use our box.
It's the enemy. I need help.
So the interesting thing about when the guards are on the radios is that as long as you load into the next room before they finish their message, the alert will not kick in. If you do hear a buzzer when you do load into the next room, the alert will count. But you do have enough time to do that. Hey, what's up, Token? Alright, so that was the final bomb throughout these struts I had to deal with. Now, because of my SOCOM ammo situation, I'm gonna grab some backup ammo. Conveniently placed here. I don't know, maybe somebody dropped it. As we now make our way back to the docks of Strut A, back to where we started. Because as it turned out, by defusing all the little bombs, there's these Sensor B bombs, which are only detectable by sound, have now just been activated. One in Shell 2 and the other one in Shell 1 at the bottom of the docks, which is where we're going. So we're gonna shrink this guard, which is off screen, but I'm aiming at his back, so he kind of reacts and turns as I pass him. Now, it's a little bit faster than trying to headshot him in first person, and as you guessed it,
Who is that?
yep, we're doing this again. Poor guy.
Was there a noise just now?
What's going on? Respond.
You know, I swear it was the wind. But yes, we do that again, even though we have weapons now. Even with an M9, but, you know, it's still just as convenient to just do the, you know, early detection and then just cartwheel as they're facing the railing, because it knocks them in the direction that they're facing, not the direction that you're cartwheeling into them. I know, it's sort of odd, but it does work out to our favor. Okay. So, we're back in the docks now. As we make our way back to where the bomb is. Normally you would need sensor B and it would give you like a beacon sound. Since we know where the bomb is, we will not use sensor B to equip it. And just defuse it from a distance. So, I mean, it's strange because it's like you need to have, like, acquired the sensor B, but we don't actually equip it itself. It's just one of those, like, story flag required items in order to advance the game. But for now, we're going into the first boss fight of the plant, which is Fortune. So the box, while convenient for manipulating guards, it's also a good defensive item for Fortune. You know, because of the way her gun tracks me. The shots will not hit me as long as I keep moving. There is another method to avoid these shots without the box, which involves peeking with your gun. Peeking gives you iframes every time you do it. But for simplicity, I just prefer the box. And the thing about Fortune on this difficulty is, not only does she fire faster, but she fires 2 shots, you know, per opportunity that she has. So she is not holding back, let's say. And the thing about Fortune herself is that we can't really hit her. Any weapons we try to use will not hit her. Grenades will not detonate. So we're just waiting out the timer of this encounter, let's say, because we can't really do anything. So with that fight over, you'll notice that I equipped the coolant just before I got that codec from the Colonel. What this does is it sets up a menu trick where it will then swap to the item that I had previous to what was equipped as the fight was over. Since the M9 was my secondary weapon, when I go to equip a weapon without menuing, it will then equip the M9. It just saves you a little bit of time of just, you know, excessive menus.
Who's that? Ow!
I don't know, I felt bad doing that. I mean, the guy was gonna open up the door for me, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just too impatient. You know, we're on a speed run. I mean, he was trying to do the right thing, but I'll give him an IOU for him to open up the door next time. Which, speaking of, we're gonna use the box again here.
Who is that?
Fire 2 rounds into his back,
Are you okay?
and hold this guy up.
Who's that? Enemy sighted.
Okay, now because I acquired the Claymore earlier, I will not have to do the pick up coolant rise like I did before, but what we will do is cartwheel here while equipping the box. It lowers my profile just enough so that Cypher that moves over and away from me will not see me. And then I will use the box again just to kind of keep me low to the ground so the guy doesn't see me. Do a trick shot here, which you shoot the SOCOM as you're about to reach the corner of that stairwell. What that will do is the guard will notice the gunshot, try to pull out his radio as you time a M9 to a cartwheel knockout. What this will do is the guy will stay knocked out when you come back, while at the same time it's just a little bit faster. So here's the bomb on the helipad. I mean, you can't miss it. And now begins the second boss fight, Fat Man. So we're gonna... Okay, I got a little mixed up with my menus there, so we're gonna defuse this bomb first, then bait out a shot, and then we're gonna fire about 6 rounds into him to knock him over. Now, we're gonna knock him over once, trank him, swap to the bomb to defuse it, trank him again. It's gonna do what I call the Fat Man Shuffle, where he just kind of like moves back and forth. Then we're gonna trank him twice, and then we're gonna rinse and repeat this until he runs out of stamina.
Get out of my way!
Okay, that was an interesting maneuver I just did. Yeah, Fat Man's movement can be a little weird at times. I mean, there is some patterns to it, but other times I feel like he just goes wherever he wants to. But again, just keep trying to get your double shots as much as you can. Now, because my ammo is a little bit low, I'm gonna grab another ammo box here before I end the fight, because I will need ammo after this. Okay, since I can't find them, I'm gonna grab these stuns as a backup measure for later. Okay. So, not an ideal fight. You don't really want to lose sight of him, because he can start planting bombs and then just, you know, making the fight even longer, but I did not want to risk having no ammo with the SOCOM after the fight's over, since when I make my way back to Strut F to pick up an AK, there's a cipher that I'll need to shoot down in order to get there safely. So as much as it pains me to see that time loss, you know, in the bigger scheme, it's for the better. So one interesting thing about when we're going into the Shell 1 core is we need to locate an agent named Ames, who has intel on where President Johnson is, and his location in the facility in the shell. So this ninja comes in out of nowhere, gives us a guard's disguise, which looks like the ones we saw in the tanker, but they're the ones that are outfitted for the guards assigned to the core of Shell 1. So in order to complete this outfit disguise, we need to have the AK. And so we're gonna head over to Strut F in the lower level now that we have a key card to access the door that holds the AK. But first, we're gonna just wait for that cipher to pass over, zigzag ever so carefully, shoot that cipher, and then we make our way through. So that's the reason for needing the ammo earlier. So we're gonna do a punch kick buffer, which gives me enough time for a guard to move away. Then we're gonna use a box, trank him or his radio, and then we're just gonna run out with the AK. There's actually another method where you could do this like misdirect shot. It is a little bit faster, but I just prefer the box method for consistency. So even though we have the complete outfit, however, the disguise only works when you enter the Shell 1 core. It will not work on the outer perimeter. So the cipher needs to be shot down. Oh, look, it's Rose again. Yeah, we're just gonna hang up. Yeah, we're too busy doing submissions. So we have our disguise now, and as far as the cameras and the guards are concerned, we're one of them, unless we do something like this.
You! What are you doing?
What? I can't punch an elevator door? Yeah, but as long as you don't do anything outrageous, the guards will just leave you alone. Or if you unequip your disguise or your AK and they see it. So before we go find Ames, we're gonna pick up this D-mic, which is in the computer lab of B2. Oh yeah, that's a parakeet. So we need the D-mic to locate Ames just via his pacemaker. And Ames' location in the core itself is random, due to the fact I'm on New Game Plus. And you may also notice that the hostage pattern in that room is a little bizarre, which is due to a system clock advantage to when you run the game. Depending on what your system clock is when you load into that room, it will give you a certain pattern where you get what we call like old lady seed, where it shows all the old lady character models except for Ames. It can also show the young Jenny seed, the old man seed, so on and so forth. So Ames' location is random. It could be in any of the four corners of the room here. Ideally, I wanted to be close by. So unfortunately, he's in the middle of the room, but thankfully there's a way to get around this, which we're gonna call the D-mic glitch.
Wait a minute.
Your aims, aren't
What's
you?
up with that web?
So what I did there is I punch kicked and equipped the D-mic on the kick while being in first person. It kind of tricks the guards into not seeing the D-mic as long as you keep the D-mic held up. So we found Ames. He was in the middle of the room, which, I don't know, sort of inconvenient. Ideally, you wanted to be either closest to the stairs or southeast. Southeast is probably easier to get to. I mean, there's not as many guards watching it. But for now, the jig is up. You know, they found out who we were, and we got to get out of here. So our disguise is no longer complete anymore. So first thing is we're going to throw a chaff as soon as we get out of the elevator. Wait for it to detonate. We're going to trink this spot guard with the riot shield. Okay, use our box. And then as we leave, we're gonna shoot this cipher down. And then cartwheel over the tiling. Now, the unfortunate thing about this bridge when we come back is the tiles that are missing will stay that way throughout the rest of the game. So we'll have to be mindful of the condition of the bridge when we come back. Now we're going to pick up the PSG-1 sniper rifle, which is going to be what we'll need when we go over to Shell 2. So here it is. Okay, so I did not get a radio shot when that guard saw me around the corner. Because as you'll notice, the caution bar is going to run out by the time I even get to Strut D. But thankfully, there still is like a backup way of getting in undetected. So what I'll have to do is, like, as I approach the door going into Strut's D, is I'll either wait it out or try to headshot the SWAT team that's guarding the entrance. Yeah, we'll try it. Alright, so it's a little bit slower, but it does get you in. Long run, I did not. So we're at the Shell 1-2 connecting bridge, which, as you guessed it, more bombs. Lots of them. So we're going to be taking out all of these sensors with a mixture of SOCOM and sniper rounds. We're going to take out all the pistol SOCOM sensors first. And then we're going to be using these batazamines to give us steady aim with the sniper, which we're going to do right here. And these ciphers are very tricky to shoot these sensors for. You know, as you can see, they move about. There's seagulls flying around. They can block your shots. And then for the sensors themselves and the ciphers, you just want to aim just slightly above the midpoint. If you aim too low, you risk blowing up the sensor with the cipher, which then will destroy the bridge outright. Let's see, I believe I have one more bomb here. So we're just going to shoot the wall to scare the seagulls away, and just like that, the bridge is safe. So a little bit longer to get those, but we're now going to go into the Harrier fight. So I'll start off by getting 1, 2, 3, 4, hopefully 5 hits, which I did get. So getting those 5 hits is ideal. It's definitely tough as far as the timing goes. So we're gonna do this peeking method every time he tries to attack us, since it gives us iframes every time we peek. Then while the Harrier goes up in the air, okay, I'm not gonna get the die shots I want because I wasn't ready. So we're just gonna go for a single shot instead.
You're tougher than I thought.
You can actually time that cutscene to where you can get 2 shots in instead of 1.
I'll let you go out in style.
And Otacon is trying to help, but he likes to get in the way. So while the Harrier passes over, just get as many shots as we can. 4 goes into missile barrage. Alright, so like earlier, we're just doing the same peeking method with the SOCOM, and the ammo that I use does not really matter. We're just doing this to survive the missile barrage itself. Okay, one last shot. Oh, just missed him. Okay, so we'll just have to settle for one more hit. Alright, so that was a little bit unlucky. Especially considering I did not get the 2 bonus shots in the middle of it before he did the carpet bomb, or what we call die shots. But we did make it, and we also survived the what I call the leap of faith. You can cartwheel across the gap, preferably without landing in the water. Alright, so what we're going to do now is make our way through the KL connected bridge section. And you'll notice that I re-equipped the BDU, despite not having the full disguise anymore. And what this is going to do is give me some indirect camouflage so that this guard that's just on the other end will not see me right away. Giving me just enough time to climb this ladder. Alright, so now what we're going to do here is cartwheel once, trigger this, knock on this wall, and just like that, we avoided those 2 guards, because an alert in this area will be automatic. There is no delay, so it's sort of similar like the tanker earlier when you're in the lower decks.
Oh, I'm going to go in my pants. Nobody's looking, right?
Yeah, nobody's, yeah, I don't think anybody's looking. Well, anyways. So we're now going to use our last chaff grenade, which is going to disable these ciphers, guarding the entrance to Shell 2. Another carefully timed cartwheel. And you'll notice that I unequipped the BDU before I loaded into Shell 2. While the BDU is useful in some situations, but for whatever reason, having the BDU equipped in some rooms will actually lag the game. It's just something to do with like how the outfit is rendered versus a seeking suit. It may not be as noticeable on PC, but you know, it is just a thing that we do try to avoid doing whenever possible. Because really at this point, the BDU has kind of outlived its purpose. So we're finally in Shell 2 due to Ames's intelligence, you know, telling us where he is, but the room is blocked by an electric floor, which we'll have to get the Nikita missile launcher conveniently placed underneath the B1 floor of Shell 2, which is flooded. And if that wasn't tough enough, there's these like underwater mines that you have to avoid, because on European Extreme, if you trip one, sayonara Raiden. So here's the Nikita. And then you notice that I just swam and went 180. It's just, if you carefully time the right analog stick flick up or down, it allows Raiden to kind of maneuver backwards like that. And then once we have the Nikita, we can actually now disable the circuit panel box, which is powering the electric floor to where President Johnson is. Okay, so what we're gonna do is wake him up with a complimentary Stinger shot into the wall. Because he is asleep, we don't want to fire the Nikita missile when he's nearby the circuit box. So we're gonna stand on this ledge and fire the Nikita into this vent, following the path like so. You do not want to hit the metal grates, blocking it off. And then we're gonna aim it right at the circuit box and just let it fly. Yeah, so the other benefit to firing at the wall is it puts Johnson in a part of the room where if he notices the missile, he'll run away and to the right, giving you just enough room for him to clear, you know, away from the blast zone of the missile. If he's nearby the circuit box when the missile goes off, it depends on where he is, if he lives or not. But thankfully, we managed to avoid hitting the president with it, because it will kill him in one hit. Alright, so he gave us another key card to go further into Shell 2.
I took these photos.
Yeah, Snake was saying he took those photos, but trust me, he didn't. I mean, mine looked way different than that. But anyways, back on this. So we now have to go back into the B1 section of Shell 2, where we have to go find Emma Emmerich, which is Otacon's sister, who's also the programmer of the Arsenal Gear AI known as GW, which we have to find her and bring her back to Shell 1. And what we're going to attempt to do is the swim glitch, which will allow us to swim directly to where Vamp is, without having to swim normally. It is rather difficult, so I am just going to focus to try to do it first, and then I'll explain it as I make my way over. Okay, so we're going to swim right about here, look over, and then this is where we'll start. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, that is unfortunate. I will try one more time. Okay, there we go. Okay, maybe one more pass. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna swim through this hole in the ceiling since they didn't put a barrier there. And we're swimming literally through the floor. And we're gonna surface right around this door, which is gonna load me in to the Vamp fight. So what we'll do here is we're gonna trank him, fire 2 stinger rounds in the water, which is gonna lower his stamina value just a little bit. And then we're gonna wait here for him to surface, and we're gonna take him out non-lethally. Using a exploit where you can manipulate his knifing. So we're gonna let him approach. He's gonna knife. I'll hit him 1, 2, 3, 4. Do it again. Wow, how did that touch me? Wow, that is really unlucky.
Answer me. Brighton!
Okay, that is unfortunate. So we'll try that again. Okay, 1, 2. Go into hanging mode. Yeah, he could go left or right, it's random. We want him to go left so it's less movement for him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so what we did there is we're exploiting Vamp's proximity, like a reaction. If you're nearby him, he'll try to, you know, kneel down and sweep with his knife, which is, as you saw, incredibly dangerous. It is a one-hit KO, regardless of how close it may have been. And so you can rinse and repeat that method as long as you stay close by. If you're too far away, he will retreat into the water, and then you have to wait for him to surface again. So now what I'm going to do is pick up the body armor, which is going to be used throughout the rest of the game, specifically for Arsenal Gear. The body armor provides damage protection, where it cuts damage in half. So instead of being 3 hits, it's now going to be 6 from gunfire. So it is kind of a, you know, nice lifeline the game provides you. It does cost you about 6 seconds to go out of your way to get it. It's incredibly risky in the end game without it. So this is Emma. We're now going to swim back with her. Now, since I swim glitched on the way here, I can't swim glitch on the way back, sadly. And part of the impact of swim glitching is one of the two hatches that's underwater is still locked. I'll have to open it on the way back. But ideally, if you get it on a first attempt, it does save you quite a bit of time. Even with the hatch that you have to open on the way back with Emma. But for now, we're just we're dragging her along. You know, and the reason is just for, you know, she was sedated with drugs, which makes her unable to walk on her own. You know, until at least the drugs wear off. So now, this is where we swim back in the other half. So normally if you swam without swim glitching, this hatch would already be open for you, but since I have to open it, it'll lose me some time. So now what we're gonna do is surface here to pick up the PSG-1T, which is the non-lethal variant of the PSG-1 sniper rifle. It does not have as many... I swam too low. Oh my goodness, I forgot that mine was there.
Right.
Yeah, the mines are definitely not to be taken lightly. And the hitbox for those are unusually large. Alright, so one more time. Alright, pick up the PSG-1T sniper rifle. Up and over the debris. And then we're gonna swim in the middle. I touched it again. Oh my god.
Jack, what's going on? Answer me! Jack? Jack!
I forgot where the sweet spot was. Alright. Alright, so unfortunate, but we'll continue it otherwise. Alright, so up and over the debris. Swim through the middle. There we go. Yeah, so navigating around these mines is very, very dangerous, as you just witnessed. And then you'll notice Emma's O2 is starting to drain to nothing, and her health is, you know, draining down, which is okay. It is more than enough for her to at least make it to the stairs here. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is drag her to right about here. Call the elevator. And normally the game tells you to use the coolant spray to get these bugs to go away. But you can just kind of aggressively drag her into the elevator, conquer her fear of bugs. Alright, so now what we're gonna do here is follow a specific path where we're gonna navigate with Emma and around the guards, just due to how the patrol is set up when we come in here. So we're just kind of hugging the outer perimeter walls here. Keeps us away from a guard that walks over. And as soon as we turn this corner, this guard's gonna come in, and my question is, where did this guy come from? I didn't see him in the B1 core. But anyways, we're gonna leave him right about here. And I'm gonna trank this guard, hold up this other one. And then as we make our way out, there's one final guard that's actually blocking the exit, which is right here. So say hello to Mo again. Maybe it was the same guy in Struddy. At least I like to think that. So now what I'm gonna do is call it the Emma bump, where you line Emma up to the door before we push her into it. And what this will do is it'll put her here, where instead of dragging her through normally, it'll push her there, and you move at full speed. So it's a little bit of a time save, and it's relatively safe to do on PC. Alright, so we're throwing a chaff there to disrupt the ciphers as well as a guard that's going to notice me. This way the alert will never get in because of both the chaff and the way he's positioned, as I will show you in a little bit. Okay, then we're going to take out this fire with the coolant spray. And then in case you're wondering, well, how's the alert not kicking in? I mean, it should have done it by now. Well, the guy's kind of stuck. Or maybe he's just practicing his exercises for leg day. I don't know. But he's normally leaned up against the railing with the binoculars. And if you get an alert that is, you know, interrupted, where you cannot really move out of the way, he'll just stay there. I mean, it's pretty hilarious. So we take out these two guards, and then we now begin the Emma sniping section, as we call it, which is where the PSG-1T sniper rifle is going to come in handy. Alright, so at this point, Emma kind of gains the ability to walk again. You know, the drugs have worn off. So now we have to provide her cover fire. First thing we gotta do is clear out some claymore mines on this first water bridge. And despite what you might think, the PSG-1T can blow these up, despite being just a tranquilizer dart. Then we're gonna trank that guard, along with this one. Pick up some more ammo for the PSG-1T. And the reason why we're staying around this area here is to prevent Emma from falling. There's a weird bug in the game that if you're standing too close to the water bridge where Emma is, and also zoom in with your scope, it just causes her to lose her balance and fall over. It loses you about like 6 to 8 seconds if it happens. So one of the ways that we avoid doing that is just keeping the scope the way it is, whenever realistically possible. And we also stay by like this area where the thermal goggles were spawned. Okay, so once she crosses over, we're gonna be on the lookout for ciphers coming in, as well as a set of mines that we'll have to take out on the third bridge on the opposite side here. You know, but we can kind of just enjoy the view, praise the sun. But quite honestly, I really do enjoy this part of the game. It's a rather nice, relaxing section. You know, the music is very chill, with some to-do tasks. Alright, so Emma has safely crossed over the water bridge, so now I can post up here to start shooting out these mines. There are 6 of them. That's 3, 4, that's 5, and that's 6. And that 5th one there is really tricky to hit because only part of its hitbox is visible. It's what I call like the trick mine. It's one that can be missed easily. And as you guessed it, with EuroExtreme, if she trips on any of those mines, it's not going to end well for her. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is pop another potassium, which again gains me steady aim. And what that will do is it'll spawn another pack of 5. I believe each potassium that you use gives you steady aim for about 30 seconds. It is stackable if you use them all at once. However, the potassium item box will not respawn right away if you do that. So we're only doing it at certain points where we need it. And then as you're noticing, I'm just spamming away with the PSG-1T. You know, as long as you just hit them, you know, with 2 to 3 darts. I mean, it doesn't have to be a headshot everywhere. It's also minimizing the risk of trying to zoom in with the scope. Because again, you know, Emma can trip If you do so, it's... I don't know, it's sort of weird. It's almost like she gets the feeling she's being watched and has stage fright and falls over. Honestly, I'm not really sure. But for now, she's on her way. We'll have one more guard, as well as a few more ciphers to deal with before she's home free. Because that strut right there is actually strut E. And this fence line just connects the two. Alright, so there's the cipher I was waiting for. And then there's the other guard. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to spend all of our PSU-1T rounds at a time. We're going to empty it on purpose for a faster setup with another boss encounter very shortly. Hey, what's up, Sylvia? Alright. So we got... Oh, there's the other cipher.
Whatever.
Yeah, that snake. Oh yeah, by the way, you know, earlier in the games, Pliskin kind of revealed himself as Snake. I know, shocker. But that codec call is when Snake is saying that he arrived, and if he wants, you know, to help you, you can just call him with the codec, and he can actually assist you with the sniping. But we don't really need his help because, quite frankly, in EuroExtreme, it comes in rather late. There's really nothing for him to target, except for maybe that cipher, but, you know, we're trying to be expeditious here. So once Emma gets to right about between those two pillars there, right where the sun is, we're going to go right into the next fight where I'm going to use all of my potassiamines in advance. Okay, and then what that will do is as I get into this, guess what? Yep, Mampa's back again. So we have steady aim already. We're gonna go right to the ammo spawn, and we're gonna spam his legs with the PSU-1T, because Vamp has no cooldown on his hitbox. And you can hit him as many times as you can shoot at him. It does less damage in his legs, but it's easier to hit him because his legs will not move when he gets hit. It also avoids hitting Emma. And although the headshots do more damage, he kind of moves around really awkwardly, and it's hard to get it consistent. So we just opt to aim at his leg. So now we're making our way back over to Shell 2. Let's see, do we have our chat? There it is. Oh, I forgot to equip my box.
It's the enemy.
Alright, well, that's the last guard. I mean, I think he was just kind of left behind because everybody else is kind of elsewhere. Alright, so we're coming back to the EF connector bridge, and as you can see, the tiles that were missing from before stayed that way. So you just have to be very aware of the environment when you come back. Man, more bugs. Alright. So we made it to the elevator, which is going to take us to the computer lab of B2, which is also where the hidden entrance is to Arsenal Gear. Which is the end game, if you would.
It's been a while, hasn't it? Jack the Ripper.
Man, who's this guy again? I recognize him.
You know this fellow?
You remember me, don't you? You've grown. High concentration of cerebral implants. Have they altered your memory, too?
Alright, well, despite seeing the O2 drain like that, you don't actually have to do anything. It's, again, another tutorial on what's to come later. So, with Arsenal Gear, kind of like the beginning of the plant, we don't really have any items. I mean, heck, we don't even have anything on.
Keep this up. They're bound to find
So, I mean, talk about making this difficult.
Brace yourself.
So, as painful as that looked, Olga is actually doing us a favor by lowering our HP like this. I'll explain a little bit later why that's significant. Normally, Rose would call you in order to advance the game. We can just quickly bypass that by just calling her instead. And when I said that we don't have anything, I wasn't kidding. I mean, we literally got nothing. I mean, they even took the... I would like to say the shirt off our back, but I mean, it's a sneaking suit, but you get the idea. So, we answer this codec on the first frame when we load into the room, holding the share button. Then we're gonna do that because it'll prevent this guy from seeing me. We answer another quick codec here, as soon as we reach the first steps. Okay, then what we're gonna do is navigate around this guard, go underneath this camera, circle around, and then cross the gap, which we just did. You know, it was a little close, but does work. Okay, then I'm just gonna punch kick this guard for safety. You can opt to cartwheel into them. It's just a little risky, given, like other parts of the game, if you do get detected, the alert is automatic. And Arsenal Gear is definitely not a place you want to be dealing in with alerts. So we have to wait for a call from Rose, and we have to just cycle through these rather bizarre codecs from the Colonel, who's talking about some rather strange things. I don't know, something about infiltrating Outer Heaven, something about Scissor 61, and a tuning fork. I mean, it's... You know, it's Metal Gear. Expect the unexpected. Alright, so this is a call from Rose. And our guest of honor shows up with the right attire, so he's no longer in the Pliskin outfit. So he gives us a blade, which in this part, we're meant to just practice with it. You just have to stab or use the blade at least once to trigger a timer, where you have to just wait here for 45 seconds while staying on this side of the hallway. We're not actually going to be using the blade that much, except for... Excuse me, except for the Solidus fight at the end. But for now, we're just going to be preparing for the first of 2 Tengu guard rushes. Tengu 1 is going to be using stun grenades that I've collected up to this point. I even grabbed an extra pair just to be safe. You can ideally do it with 4. The maximum you can carry is 6, and 6 is exactly what I have. Alright. Alright, so once we start Tengu 1, we're gonna equip these stuns, throw it in the middle. Okay, and then just keep going. That's gonna knock the first group temporarily, and then we're just gonna continuously throw these as I move forward in the room. And then we're gonna throw one more just for good measure. And then I'm gonna lean up against the door, punch, kick, and on the kick, I let go of first-person camera. And what that will do is the kick will actually go through the door and touch the loading section of the next room. Let's see, I believe my health is a little bit too high, so I'm just gonna annoy Snake for a little bit. Since we want our health to be at 1/4, as scary as it looks. Because Snake will spawn the M4 based on the HP that you have, which is roughly 25%. So what we're gonna do is grab this guard and then choke him 9 times. So that was 2, 3, 4, 5. This makes 6, 7, 8. Okay, and this makes 9. So what we're trying to do is keep this Tengu from the first wave alive as long as possible without killing him. I timed the choke input so I don't break his neck by accident. In the meantime, Snake is, he's going ham out there. I mean, he's having fun with the Tengus out there. He's got the M4. He can deal with them a lot easier than I could. So what we're trying to do is glitch the game into thinking, hey, there's a Tengu from Wave 1 still alive, and it's been a long time now. So we're just grabbing and letting him go, so we're not, you know, putting him at risk of killing him. We just want him to pass out on his own. Okay, so this should knock him out. Okay, so he'll just fall down, and then we'll watch Snake kind of do his thing while we wait for the encounter to end. Like so.
It came as a complete surprise.
So what you just witnessed was the Tengu 2 skip, where the game is tricked into thinking, hey, there was a Tengu from the first wave that lived for so long, it doesn't know how to process it, and it just ends the encounter. Doing so saves you several minutes, because you have to fight up to 128 Tengus if you don't do that, or if the skip fails.
Reproduce Solid Snake, the perfect warrior.
So we're just waiting for Solidus to
Foxhound Commando.
go through his speech, and we start probably the scariest encounter in the game, in my opinion, which is the Rays. We have to beat up to 20 of them, or the equivalent of damage done of 20 Rays, since some can be split.
But I've made use of you, and their plan.
But just given the situation, I mean, we're low on HP, we have body armor, the Rays are pretty intimidating.
Were among my ranks.
But there is a way to loop them, where you can control the fight. It is hard to do, so I'll mostly concentrate as I attempt to do this. And then I'll maybe try to explain it if there's, I don't know, either after the encounter or if there's a safety somewhere, which is very unlikely because once you get started, it's pretty intense.
Been led back to war by something less than real.
Alright, here we go. So we're gonna cartwheel up, hit this one in the knee, to the head, same on the right, then the one on the left, and then we rinse and repeat a whole nother time. And then for the one in the middle, we go for the knee, the head, and then the head of the ray on the right. Cartwheel away so we do not lose our balance, spade out a water cannon. Then we aim at this ray in the leg to the head, which is gonna make this ray on the left jump on stage. Okay, then we're gonna hit him in the knee to the head. Slowly start to make our way over to this corner. So, as you can see, there's a whole column of rays out there. They come in 3 at a time, like, as you eliminate them. And what we're gonna try to do is loop the encounter, where we get them to come on stage a certain way, and then we start doing damage on the next ray that spawns in, while at the same time just trying to manage the rays that, you know, get away from you. Ideally, you want them to be contained on one side of the arena. You don't want to have to deal with them from different sides, and especially having one on your back. And then we pretty much plant ourselves on this ammo spawn here, since it'll refill our stinger as we spend ammo. It's pretty convenient. Okay, so that ray is going to jump on stage, and the way that they jump on stage is it's based on the ray with the lowest HP on whoever's available. If one's already, like, destroyed, it's just gonna, like, wobble away like what you're seeing over there. And the ray that's next up will just jump on stage in its place. So the way this loop works is the rays that spawn in kind of have, like, a weird behavior where they'll kind of spawn in, they'll shuffle their legs around, they'll do their war cry where their mouth is open. You do some damage to it, and then you take advantage of that, knowing that they're going to spawn from there. Okay, that was a little bit unlucky, but we'll do a follow-up hit there. So when they do their open mouth war cry thing, you can get some damage in. Since the mouth is open, it is considered a critical hit. Oh, hello. Rather interesting flight path that Stinger took. Alright, so we're going to try to do this a little bit differently, but it still is a loop. The only thing I dislike about it is that it puts that ray a little bit further away from me than I would like. Because, like I said, you want to keep them contained to one side of the area. Okay, that's what I was concerned about, was when missiles get involved. You never want missiles. But thankfully, the missiles they fire in their back are relatively avoidable. You know, as long as you keep moving, the target lock will just kind of, you know, slip away. Alright, so as this raid jumps on stage, just gonna aim at the leg. And then we're gonna hit this one in the open mouth, because it just showed up. And we're gonna take out this ray again, then causing this ray to jump in its place because it's the next in line. So one thing you'll note is that as I fire each Stinger missile, there's no lag, as you might notice on other versions of the game. It's quite nice for this kind of thing. You know, the timing is instant. You know, it feels really fast-paced. Okay, that was me accidentally toggling one of the hidden features of E-Spix, which is the rapid-fire tool. Woo! Okay, that ray jumping landing there was really, really close. Yeah, because just about anything they do can kill me in one hit. The only thing that will not kill me is machine gun fire, which you don't want to be hit anyway. But that ray was a little too close for my liking there. Alright, but not to worry, we'll just kill it there. Alright, so we'll let that one jump on stage, start looping him. We'll start to near the end once you start seeing the E's. You'll notice that the rays follow like a numbering letter scheme where it starts as A, B, C, D, and once you reach the E's, then you're close to the end, where you're at like that 20 number. Okay, kind of lost track of where the other ray was, but we'll just focus on this one. Alright, so now you see E1 and E2, and just like that, we're done. A little scary at the end, but the loop was somewhat maintained. I mean, missiles did get, you know, involved, but thankfully it wasn't, you know, thankfully it didn't go the other way. You know, because once the loop is broken, it goes into what we call a free-for-all, where you're surrounded by rays and you're dodging everything.
Squeeze the answers out of you instead, my son.
Alright, so I have to match for my life, so just a minute.
What do you hope to hear? You know he doesn't know it.
So, on European Extreme, when you have to resist this torture, the timer is 50 seconds on Substance. I mean, we do have a rapid-fire tool that can make that part a lot easier and saves your arm. But yeah, it's definitely intense. HD Collection nerfed it, where it's at a reasonable time instead of the long 50 seconds. It changes it to 15. So we're at the final part of the run. Coming up towards the end here, we're going to be fighting Solidus. Okay, what's up? 8-handed Maya, Zeekinator, Mimic. I mean, everybody. You know, I appreciate you guys watching. Alright, so what we're going to do here is kind of trigger a block, get him to kick, and then we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Sweep twice with the blade. Then we're going to go to his left side, where he has the eye patch, since it's a blind spot. And what we're doing is we're kind of looping him, where if he gets attacked up close and follows it by a block, he will react to kick. But what we do is, as we trigger the 2-hit block, we're following it up by moving over to where his eye patch is, get 3 hits in, or try to at least. I mean, he's sort of on an awkward part of the roof, but I'll try to turn him. So by doing this, we're kind of looping them where you don't really need to block the kick every time, which you can do. Doing this is, although it's a little bit difficult, it's definitely a lot faster. And then again, we use the punching rather than the blade itself, even though we flipped it to the non-lethal side of it. And that's because we don't really want to knock him over to exceed his hitbox. You know, so by punching him like this, it kind of keeps him upright without pushing him over.
Good work, Jack. But this is where it gets interesting.
So what I just did there is I pushed him over the threshold, which is just under 50%, which is gonna get him into phase 2. So he ditches the, you know, the squid arms, whatever you call it. You know, he's taking it seriously now.
Is that the best you can do?
Alright, so I try to do what we call a parry. If you time the charge with the sweep of the blade, it'll actually make him lose balance or get him to block. It's sometimes worth it. I mean, it does look cool. I mean, it's mainly for swag if you get it. More common, you'll just block the charge. However, there is some RNG from when he does charge in phase 2. You ideally want him to charge and elbow you, which leaves him open. Sometimes they'll do a, you know, combo attack with the blades, which is RNG. Okay, that was the elbow, but I did not face the right way for the block, so I'm just gonna stagger him like this. He was trying to do a heavy attack, which he is open. Okay, so a little unfortunate there, so we'll just go for another block. 1, 2, 3. Woo! Okay, that was okay, I just wanted to play it safe because I was really low on HP. But that is time for a 1:14:52.
Remember this place?
My estimate was 1 hour 20 minutes up to this point.
Where we first met.
Just given, yeah, a lot of the unfortunate circumstances that I had, you know, the mine underneath the water, as well as wherever else the first continue happened, but it was alertless, it was killless. For Big Boss, you would need to complete the game in less than 3 hours. No kills, alerts, other than the 3 staged alerts that you get, which are the guard rush on Tanker and the alerts on Tengu 1 and Tengu 2. But other than that, there were no alerts outside of those. I did not kill anybody. So, not... but anyways, you know, it was a pleasure to run this for this submission. You know, I love speedrunning Metal Gear games, and Metal Gear Solid 2 was one of the first games I learned to speedrun. I mean, it was on console at the time, but, you know, I still love the game. And before I wrap up this submission video, just shout-outs to the Metal Gear Speedrunners community. Just an incredible community to be a part of. Very friendly, very welcoming. And, you know, I've definitely improved and also formed valuable friendships while being in that community. And you can also feel free to check out our community at MetalGearSpeedrunners.com. You can also follow our Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/MetalGearSpeedrunners. And you can also follow our Twitter at MGSRunners. And I look forward to seeing this run getting into an event in the near future. Thank you for taking the time for watching this run and putting it into consideration. And for you, the viewer, thanks for watching. And this is Joseph, Joestar316, signing out.